Welcome to Coverage and Clarity with Jacques, the podcast where we break down protection, planning, and peace of mind so you can make confident decisions for the people who matter most.
Welcome to Coverage and Clarity with Jacques. This is where we slow things down, remove the confusion, and focus on what truly matters, protecting the people you love. Now let me ask you something, and I really want you to think about this carefully. If something happened today, not just to you, but to your home, your car, your ability to function day to day, would your plan actually hold up? What would happen if your life didn't completely fall apart, but got disrupted enough to create financial chaos? Because people prepare for death, but very few people prepare for disruption, such as a house fire, a major car accident, a lawsuit, storm damage, water damage, a guest getting injured on your property, a teenage driver causing an accident, identity theft, rising rebuilding costs. These are the situations quietly destroying financial stability every single day. And here's the dangerous part. Most families think they're protected because they have one policy somewhere in a drawer. But protection is not about a single policy. Protection is a system. And if one piece fails, the pressure spreads everywhere else. Your savings, your retirement, your income, your family's future, your peace of mind. Now let's start with families who did everything they thought they were supposed to do. They were good people, responsible people, hardworking people. But no one ever explained to them how all the pieces were supposed to work together. No one explained the minimum coverage is often designed to satisfy state requirements, not to fully protect your financial life. No one explained that inflation impacts rebuilding costs, that lawsuits can exceed policy limits, that one uncovered event can undo years of hard work. That's why today's conversation matters, because it isn't about fear. It's about awareness. And once you understand these gaps, you can finally start building real protection. Here's what I say every single day. People believe they're protected because they have life insurance. And that's a good thing. That's important. But what they don't realize is this. Life insurance is only one piece of the safety net. And the rest of that net is missing or weak. It doesn't take much for everything else to fall through. Today we're going to talk about something that doesn't get enough attention, but affects people far more often than they expect. Property and casualty insurance. That includes home, auto, liability. Now that's separate pieces, but has a coordinated protection strategy. Because protection isn't about having a policy. It's about having a plan that works when life doesn't go according to your plan. Now, the misconception, I have life insurance, so I'm covered. Well, let's talk honestly for a moment. Let's start with the mindset. A lot of people I sit down with say something like, Jacques, I'm good. I've got life insurance. And you know, I respect that. I really do. But here's the truth we have to face. Life insurance only responds to one type of event. That's it. It doesn't help you when a pipe bursts in your home, you're causing an accident, someone gets injured on property, you're held financially responsible for damages. And here's where it gets real. Those things happen far more often than death. So, if your entire protection strategy is built around a single event, you're exposed everywhere else. And most people don't realize that until they're in the middle of it for themselves. Life insurance is incredibly important. I believe in it deeply. It protects your family from financial devastation if you pass away unexpectedly. But here's what many people misunderstand. Life insurance is not designed to protect your everyday exposure. And everyday exposure is more financially damaging than when it actually happens. Most people are statistically more likely to experience a serious auto claim, have property damage, face liability exposure, deal with theft or weather-related loss, be involved in litigation, more so than to die prematurely during their working years. Because life insurance is emotional, people focus on that first. But when they don't realize is this, a major uncovered claim can create an exact financial instability your life insurance was supposed to prevent. Think about that. If your home suffers a major damage and your coverage is outdated, if your auto liability limits are low and someone sues after a severe accident, if your assets become exposed in court, that financial pressure impacts your family while you're still here, trying to hold everything together. And that's why holistic planning matters. Because real protection means protecting your income, protecting your assets, protecting your family, protecting your future earning ability, protecting your lifestyle, protecting the legacy you're trying to build, not just one piece of it. And unfortunately, many families discover this only after a crisis exposes the weakness in the plan that they had. So what does P&C coverage actually do? Well, let's simplify this because insurance language can be overwhelming. Property and casualty insurance is really about preserving stability. It protects the life you've already built. Your home is more than a structure. It's where your family sleeps. It's memories. It's security. It's likely one of your largest financial assets. But many people don't realize how expensive rebuilding has become. Construction costs have risen dramatically. Material shortages, labor costs, inflation, which means that if your policy hasn't been reviewed recently, you may not have enough coverage to rebuild after a loss fully. Now let's talk about auto coverage. Most people choose limits based on price, but accidents don't care what your monthly payment is. One serious accident involving injuries can create medical claims, lost wage claims, legal expenses, long-term liability exposure. And if your limits are too low, your personal assets become part of the conversation. That's why adequate liability protection matters. Because liability coverage protects not only what you own today, but what you may build tomorrow. Your savings, your future income, your retirement, even your peace of mind. And what many people don't realize is this. The more financially successful you become, the more important liability protection becomes. Because as your assets grow, your exposure grows with it. Now let's break this down in a simple, practical way. Property and casualty insurance is about protecting what you're actively living with every single day. Your home, your car, your liability, your responsibilities to others. Think of it like this. Life insurance protects your family if you're no longer here. P&C protects your family while you're here. Now let's look at each of these. Homeowners insurance. What it does, it covers damage to your home, protects your belongings, includes liability if someone is injured on your property. With auto insurance, it covers accidents, protects against damages and injuries, and shields you from lawsuits. Liability coverage, now this one is very powerful. It protects your assets if you're found responsible for harm or damage. And here's the key. These risks are not rare. They're everyday realities. Now let me walk you through a situation. A family, hardworking, responsible, thought that they had everything in place. They had life insurance. They felt confident. But one evening, a car accident changed everything. The damages exceeded their auto coverage limits. And suddenly, it wasn't just about fixing a car. It became about legal exposure, out-of-pocket costs, financial stress that followed them for years. And here's the part that stays with me. They told me, Jacques, we didn't know. And that's the reality for so many people. Not being reckless, not being irresponsible, just unaware of the gaps that exist. Now, underinsurance doesn't show up until the moment you need it. By then, it's too late to fix it. The hardest conversation I've had with families were not after someone passed away. They were after someone realized their coverage wasn't built for the reality of the loss that they experienced. They need to take into account the following: rising deductibles, inflation, repair costs, rental vehicle expenses, temporary housing costs, litigation culture. Now, these are the forgotten items that exist in everyday life. Now, here's where everything comes together. We need to elevate this conversation a little further than what we've been, because this isn't about selling more policies. This is about alignment. Your home, your auto, and life coverage should not exist in isolation. They should work together as a system. Let me explain this to you. Your auto policy protects you on the road. Your home policy protects you where you live. Your life policy protects the people you leave behind. But your liability exposure, now that touches all of it. So if one area is weak, it puts pressure on everything else. That's why coordination matters. That's why reviewing everything together, not separately, is critical. Because protection isn't about pieces. It's about those pieces connecting. On a daily basis, I help families see the full picture. Now let's talk about something that doesn't get enough attention, the liability. This is where people often are exposed because liability doesn't care how careful you are. Accidents will happen, situations will escalate, and when they do, the financial responsibility can be significant. We're talking about medical loss, legal fees, settlements, and without adequate coverage, those costs don't disappear. They shift to you. This is where tools like higher liability limits, umbrella policies become increasingly important because they don't just protect your current lifestyle, they protect everything you've worked to build. In a simple language, an umbrella policy adds a layer of protection. It extends over your home and auto. It's relatively affordable compared to exposure. Now remember, an umbrella policy is not about expecting the worst from yourself. It's about protecting your future from one unexpected moment. What it does is tie everything together: your asset preservation, retirement protection, business owners, parents with teen drivers, homeowners, anyone building wealth. So, what does a holistic protection strategy look like? Well, it's not complicated, but it's intentional. It means your home coverage reflects today's rebuilding costs. Your auto coverage has appropriate limits, not just the minimums. Your liability protection extends beyond basic policies. Your life insurance supports your family's long-term needs. And most importantly, everything is reviewed together, not pieced together over time, not scattered across providing without coordination, but everything is aligned. Because when everything works together, that's when you have a true peace of mind. Your insurance portfolio should evolve as your life evolves. Now, the wake-up call, most people don't intentionally leave themselves exposed. They simply assume, if I have insurance, I must be protected. But there's a difference between carrying coverage and carrying the right protection. And life has a way of testing plans without warning. Not when it's convenient, not when you're finally financially ready, but not when you're emotionally prepared, which is why it matters. Not after the accident, not after the storm, not after the lawsuit, not after the claim denial. Now. Because reviewing your protection strategy today could prevent years of financial stress tomorrow. And I want you to understand something deeply. Protecting your family is not about what happens after you're gone. It's about protecting the life you're all trying to live together right now. Your home, your income, your vehicles, your savings, the future, your stability. That's where holistic protection really means. So this week, I want you to stop looking at your policies as individually items. Instead, ask, does my entire protection strategy work together? Because true peace of mind doesn't come from simply owning insurance. It comes from knowing your plan was built intentionally, with clarity, with coordination, and with the people you love at the center of it. Now, I'm here to guide you through this process. Remember, I provide coverage to clients nationwide. To contact me, call or text the studio line at 631-594-8118. Once again, that's 631-594-8118. Now, thank you for spending time with me today. This is Coverage and Clarity with Jacques, where we make the complex simple and help you move forward with confidence. Until next time, stay focused, stay prepared, and stay intentional.